Long ago, in the bustling town of Owen, there lived two young men, Chukwu and Balogun. Both of them were born poor, so poor that they could not afford sandals as children, and their bellies often went to bed half empty. When they grew older, they both became house helps for a wealthy family. From dawn till dusk they worked, sweeping courtyards, pounding yam, scrubbing floors, and running errands across the town. Despite the hardship, they were the best of friends. They laughed together in the evenings after work, shared roasted plantain by the roadside, and dreamt about the day they would escape servanthood and become their own masters. But though they worked side by side, their mindsets were as different as the earth and the sky. Every month, when they were paid their small wages, their choices showed who they were. Chukwu would rush to the market. He would buy a new shirt, maybe a pair of sandals, and then head to the palm wine bar. There, surrounded by friends, he would shout, "Let the wine flow. Today I am the king of the night." The crowd loved him. They clapped, sang his praises, and drank with him. By the next morning, his pockets would be empty. But he didn't care. "Tomorrow will take care of itself," he always said. Balogun, however, was different. When he received his wages, he would quietly buy beans or maize and keep some money aside. He was careful with his clothes and shoes, never wasting a coin on unnecessary show. One evening, after Chukwu had spent all his money, he sat with Balogun. "Balogun, why do you live like a beggar even when you have money? Look at your shirt, patched 3 times. Meanwhile, people call me big man when I enter the bar. Life is short, my friend. Enjoy it while you can." Balogun smiled gently. "Chukwu, you see today. I see tomorrow. Money is like a seed. If you eat it all, hunger will follow. But if you plant it, the seed will return as a harvest." Chukwu waved his hand dismissively. "Harvest, harvest. Can harvest buy me respect today? My friend, when I walk through the market, people hail me. What do they say when they see you? Nothing." Balogun only shook his head. Time will tell. One day their master gave both of them a little bonus, 5 silver coins each. It was more money than they had ever held at once. Chukwu's eyes shone. "Balogun, tonight we must celebrate. Meat, palm wine, music. We shall enjoy like kings." But Balogun refused. "I will not spend mine, Chukwu. With these coins I can buy groundnut and sell them for profit." "Groundnut?" Chukwu laughed. "My brother, life is not groundnut. It is enjoyment. Do you think when death comes, it will ask how much money you saved?" That night, Chukwu spent all his coins on merrymaking. The crowd hailed him, women danced around him, and he felt like a chief. By the next morning, he was broke again. Balogun, however, quietly bought a bag of groundnuts. He roasted them and sold them at the roadside. Within weeks, he had doubled his money. With the profit, he bought another bag. Little by little, his money began to grow. Years passed. Chukwu and Balogun finally left their master's house and started life on their own. At first it seemed Chukwu was doing better. He always wore fine clothes, and people respected him. At the palm wine bar, he was still the king. Balogun, on the other hand, looked plain. He lived simply, wearing the same patched shirt. Some even mocked him. "Look at Balogun, stingy like a goat. He doesn't know how to enjoy life," but slowly the truth began to show. Balogun's groundnut trade expanded. He used his savings to buy a small piece of land. On it, he planted cassava and maize. When the harvest came, he sold them in bulk and bought another piece of land. Soon he had enough to build small huts, which he rented out to families. Chukwu, meanwhile, had nothing. He spent everything he earned. His once fine clothes grew old. The friends who used to drink with him vanished whenever his pocket was empty. One day, when Chukwu was sick and hungry, he decided to visit Balogun. By now, Balogun lived in a fine compound with a gate, servants, and plenty of food. When Chukwu arrived, Balogun welcomed him warmly, gave him water, and even shared food with him. But when Chukwu saw how wealthy Balogun had become, envy filled his heart. "Balogun," he said bitterly, "we both started in the same place. We both suffered in the same house. How is it that you are rich and I remain poor?" Balogun looked at him with sadness. "My friend, the difference is not where we started, but what we chose to do. You saw money as something to spend. I saw it as something to plant. While you ate your seeds, I planted mine. Now I harvest while you hunger." Chukwu frowned. "So you are calling me a fool?" Balogun shook his head. "Not a fool, Chukwu. Only stubborn. Life gave you many lessons, but you refused to learn." From that day their friendship grew cold. Chukwu avoided Balogun, ashamed of his failure. Balogun, though still kind, knew they could no longer walk the same road. As years rolled by, Balogun became one of the richest men in the town. He built houses, traded across markets, and was respected by all. Chukwu, however, grew poorer. He was often seen at the roadside telling stories of the good old days when he was the king of the palm wine bar. Children laughed at him, calling him the man who ate his farm before planting it. And so the town carried a saying on their lips whenever they taught their children about wealth. The difference between a poor man and a rich man is not how much money they touch, but how they think. One spends his seed and remains hungry. The other plants his seed and harvests forever.